Oh, I see we've already got some folks in here and more joining. That's awesome. You're all very punctual.
Wonderful.
And I know a lot of the internal team is excited. The folks who didn't get to see you in Utah are going to try to hop on the webinar if they can.
Excellent.
All right, for folks who are joining, we're going to go ahead and get started in just a few minutes, but we're really glad you're here.
Yes, welcome. Excellent. We appreciate your spending this time with us today.
And I like to give people to like right on the top of the hour, and then we kind of slow roll in. So. Oh, I see someone raised their hand. Okay, so for folks who are on, the chat will not work. That's for internal presenters, but you can use the Q&A function. So if you have a question, please go ahead and feel free to put it in Q&A, and I'll repeat this once we get started. But I will be monitoring that, and either I will read your questions out to Mollie, or I will answer them via typing if it's something where you need a link or something along those lines. So yes, if you have a question, go ahead and stick it in there and I will take care of you. We'll give it just 1 minute more. And I hope everyone is doing well. And I feel like the weather's been weird. All my friends on the East Coast are concerned because it's too hot. Meanwhile, over here in Portland, we got unseasonable snow. So wherever you are, I hope you are comfortable. All right. Well, I'm always impatient. I'm like, okay, it's 8:59. Can I start? Give it just a few more moments. Okay. Oh, I see a question. Okay, this is a webinar, so you won't see your own screen. Mostly you'll be seeing Mollie and me a little too, I guess. So the primary way to interact with us is this Q&A. So we are really looking forward to hearing from all of you. And with that, it is right on the dot. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. I am Leslie Allen Essex, and I am the Senior Marketing Manager for Technology here at Macmillan. So yes, it is my very great pleasure to work on sort of the platform level stuff and work with instructors and faculty advocates and kind of make sure that what we are talking about and developing is of use to you. And I get to do a lot of fun thought leadership work like this, where I get to find experts or super users in the field and bring them to all of you and help share that expertise. So with that, Mollie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Excellent. Yes, I would love to. My name is Mollie Anderson, and I am an assistant professor of teaching at the University of Memphis. And I'm really excited to be here today to talk to you about some of my very favorite tools, the Achieve platform, and specifically the goal setting and reflection surveys that I absolutely adore. So let me go ahead and
before you get started, just for folks who didn't hear, maybe you just joined, we are going to be using the Q&A function. You won't have, chat is for presenters only. So if you have questions as we go, please go ahead and put them in the Q&A. I will be keeping an eye on that, and either I will read them to Mollie or I will answer them for you in the chat. So with that, you can go ahead and get started.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Leslie. All right. Wonderful. So let me start sharing. Hold on. Let me try to share here again. There we go. Are you all seeing this, Leslie? Beautiful. Awesome. So today I'm going to be talking to you about how we use Achieve at the University of Memphis, how we use our goal setting and reflection surveys to help us create closer connections with our students. And I hope that by the end of this time together, you will know exactly how we use this product to create really meaningful connections with our students in a way that helps them succeed, not just in this course, but to learn skills they can use in their life as well. So I am here presenting, but I also want to just acknowledge my co-instructor, Robert Seals, and our two course managers who have worked with us most recently, Sam Bostra and Aaliyah Gould. So I want to give you a sense of where we're heading today. So before I dive into Achieve, I want to kind of orient you. So first, I'm going to talk about why I think instructors should adopt Achieve. I know some of you here may already be Achieve users. It's great to see y'all, but I know many of you may not be. So starting with any instructors, I'm going to present some things that I think you'd like to know about Achieve, and then specifically you Launchpad veterans out there. I was a Launchpad veteran as well for years, so I'm going to talk about some things that I think you will find helpful in the new Achieve platform. So then I'm going to take you on an Achieve tour where I'm going to show you some of the elements that we have found most helpful. I'm going to show you one of my classes, and I'm going to head on over to the reports tab within my course to show you some insights from the goal setting reflections introduction survey. I'm going to share a case study with you where you're going to meet one of my students who had low confidence in her ability to succeed in my course. Then I'm going to share with you how we process all of the qualitative data from our student survey responses from the goal setting and reflection surveys. And I'm going to give you a peek at our thematic analysis that we do from all the open-ended questions and talk about a project that we're working on right now, which is developing custom emails for our students based on their responses to the goal setting and reflection surveys. Next, I'm going to show you some insights from Checkpoint Survey 1, which is the next goal setting and reflection survey that students complete after their first test. And last, I'm going to show you what students think about Achieve, because by the end of this time together, you're going to know I love Achieve and why I love it. But I also want to show you why students really seem to love Achieve as well. So earlier this year, I was preparing for a presentation on goal setting and reflection surveys given to instructors, and I spent a lot of time reflecting on what I would want to know as a novice Achieve user. And I came up with 5 top reasons why any instructor should want to adopt Achieve. One, it helps free up time for you to teach the most important and difficult concepts. Achieve does a great job of covering the broad understanding of different concepts in the chapters. And so I can really target my lectures to the things that I know students are going to have the most difficulty in learning. So that's really nice. Achieve also helps students engage with the course material. So I want to take just a second to give a love out for the learning curves. For those of you who've used Launchpad, you're probably learning curve fanatics too. Learning curve is an adaptive quizzing platform of activities, and you got to love them because they really take advantage of the testing effect. And they help students who aren't avid text readers. And I don't know about y'all, but a lot of my students don't like to sit down and read the whole chapter. Using the learning curve question sets, they can easily answer questions if they've taken time to read the chapter, or they can be taken to the spot in the chapter exactly where they can read through and find the correct answer to the question that's being posed, which is just wonderful. It helps them learn to read in small little bite-sized pieces. And I find that my students are much more willing to read the textbook in that fashion than they are to sit down and consume the whole chapter. They can also click on a help button, which will take away some of the possible responses or give them another hint. Or they can also click on a resource icon to access other resources that might be able to help them get the answer. I really love those learning curve activities, and they really help engage students to engage with the course material. Also, there's amazing videos. And so sometimes I'll tell my students, if you're really tired at night and you're like thinking about, I'm just going to get on TikTok and scroll through TikTok or go to YouTube. I was like, go on to Achieve and check out all the amazing videos for the chapter that we're studying right now. And you can even do the ones that ask you questions about what you've just watched. And that's a great way to kind of relax, but still get some studying in. So Achieve provides lots of ways for students to engage with the course material. It also helps instructors connect with students. And I think that you're going to see that really clearly through my presentation today. It also provides a safety net for instructors and for students. For the fall of last year, I had an unexpected mild traumatic brain injury, and having Achieve and having all the resources available on Achieve to assign to my students and to support my teaching team in my absence for the year has been really, really important to me. I can't tell you how much feeling of safety and feeling like, my students are well supported, even though I couldn't be there in person. Also, Achieve helps to support self-regulated learning and metacognition. And I know you as an instructor, just like me, have this as a goal for our students. And our goal setting and reflection surveys do a wonderful job of helping students learn to regulate their learning and to engage in metacognition. I want to tell you that these goal setting and reflection surveys are priceless. I will never teach an introductory psychology class without using the GSRs. I've found them to be one of the most powerful tools that I have in the classroom. So I'm going to just talk to you Launchpad veterans for a second, and actually everyone else listen too, because there's some really great points for why Achieve is fabulous. But I know that had I not signed up for the beta studies for Achieve, I really didn't want to leave Launchpad. I was perfectly happy with Launchpad. I thought it was amazing. And so I want to just do a little shout out for the Launchpad veterans. So Achieve has a much more modern interface with more functionality, and both in its increase in performance as well as the specific features it has. So what are some of those performance strengths? Well, Achieve is much more visually appealing. Imagine looking at Internet Explorer versus Google Chrome, right? There's no contest, right? It's also easier to navigate the Achieve platform and to find opportunities for student engagement. There's great tools I'm going to show you that you can use for that. Achieve also moves faster, and it's much less glitchy than Launchpad was. And Achieve has far fewer technology problems for students. Thus, I field much fewer emails from students with email complaints about the platform, and my students don't expect me to be an IT expert anymore, which is really nice. There are also some awesome special features that aren't available in Launchpad. So now there's a new Achieve Getting Started pop-up that pops up when you log in, and it provides really quick access to course customization tools. This provides you with a fast, easy way to explore the different features that are in Achieve. And we see pop-ups a lot in other apps, so it's really nice to see Achieve utilizing this feature. There's also a batch assign update feature in Achieve to help you assign and to edit your assignments really easily. Gone are the days of having to drag individual assignments around a really primitive calendar like was in Launchpad. This is really one of my very favorite things about managing my class, is being able to batch assign and update the assignments. It's really helpful. There's also a great prominent left side navigation bar that we're used to using in other online sites, and that provides us with really convenient access to instructor resources and also to reports. And we're used to this, and it really is something that I really appreciate. The resource tab in the Achieve bar makes it much easier to find videos and activity supplements for your lectures, and it also has a filter And that allows you to search all the resources by type. So you can select, hey, I want to use an adaptive quiz today or an assessment, or I'm searching for an in-class activity guide because I want to figure out something fun to do in my class today. And then you can also filter not just by the resource type in the chapter that you're currently in, but you can also filter by recommended use. So whether it's for pre-class or in-class or post-class. So that filtering tool is extremely powerful and I use it all the time. You no longer have to go searching through all the activities to find certain activities for your student. Instead, you can really easily sort them by function. That's really nice. Now, the next feature is amazing. Absolutely amazing. The insights tool in Achieve is like having an embedded statistician in your class who has absolutely wicked graphing skills. Who even knew I needed that? Well, thankfully, the amazing Macmillan Learning scientists did, because I use them all of the time. So one of the most helpful insights helps you to figure out which students haven't yet logged into Achieve. So at the beginning of the semester, I know I used to worry, hey, which students have even logged on? How do I connect with them? And now I just go to this really great insight card and it shows me which students haven't yet logged in, and I can quickly reach out to them and catch them in my safety net and say, hey, this is an important part of this class. It counts you for a big portion of your grade. How can I help you get connected? So it's really nice. I can catch these students before they start falling behind. Then, of course, drum roll, please. The main reason that I'm here to talk to you today are the GSRs, the goal setting and reflection surveys. And like I said, they are priceless. Now, for all of you Launchpad veterans out of there, that's a lot of great resources, right? That you should maybe think about adopting Achieve, right? But last but not least, the best reason is that the change is inevitable. You're eventually going to have to go to Achieve. And as an instructor, why not just go ahead and transfer on your own terms rather than having to transfer under pressure when there's a deadline bearing down on you? Okay, so that was kind of part one, why I think that you should adopt Achieve, the things that I have found to be really, really helpful in this new platform. Now I want to talk to you more about goal setting and reflection surveys. When utilizing the goal setting and reflection surveys, instructors gain really important insights. You're going to gain insights into the learning strategies that students are using, and also which ones they're not using that you may help them learn more about so they can consider using them to help them with their studies. You're also going to gain insights into how students think this semester is going, which I'm here to tell you oftentimes doesn't map on to how I think the semester is going. And so this has been really helpful for me to get a picture into how they think it's going and what I might need to do to tweak their experience and tweak the course to help them have a better experience or to help them get the support that they need. Also, the goal setting reflection surveys help me identify students' needs. And so I can target interventions and provide support to students. And I think that this is really the most powerful component of Achieve, is that I can reach out to students who are struggling and provide them support either through setting up an office meeting with them, for them to come to office hours, or sending them a list of campus resources that apply to the issue that they're currently having. And this has been really helpful, this targeted intervention piece. Now, there's some really important things I'd like for you to consider about the GSRs. If you decide to assign them, I strongly suggest that you read your class's comments. Students are going to share personal information with you, and you're going to want to respond to them through email or asking them to come see you before, after class, or come to office hours. I just really think that you'd miss out on some really amazing ways to engage your students and help support them if you don't read those qualitative responses. I encourage you to play around with the Achieve platform, particularly the Insights and the Reports tab. I spent a lot of time there and it's really helpful. I'm going to show you that in a few minutes. As you know, you can't break the Achieve platform. Trust me, I'm a technophobe. If it was possible, I would have done it already. So I encourage you just to have fun, to be curious, and find out who your students are. It's going to make your class a lot more fun for you as well as your students. Now, if you decide I don't have time to look at all of the insight cards from the goal setting reflection surveys, don't worry. If you plant the seed, it's going to grow. Just assigning the goal setting and reflection surveys and never, ever planning to review them, it's going to prompt students to think more actively about how they're learning. So just assigning them to students facilitates metacognition, and which itself we know is really valuable. The questions themselves prime your students to think about all the learning strategies they could be using in their studying, and that's going to help increase students' potential options. Students learn about learning strategies just through taking the quiz and learn about things they could be doing to help themselves succeed. Now, remember, I encourage you to take the time to review the GSRs because the information you can glean from them is, again, it's priceless, and you can truly connect with your students in a meaningful way. And I hope you'll see that from the rest of my demo today. And you can also address students' needs before those concerns start to escalate. So what do students get from the GSRs? Well, they're able to set goals for themselves, not their parents' goals, and not your goals, but their goals. And they're able to reflect on their learning throughout the semester as the class progresses. So longitudinally, they can check in. Hey, how is my learning going? And I think it's really exciting because students are reporting that they're using these skills that they learn and they're applying them to their other classes. Win, 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 right? Absolutely what we want them to do. It's really exciting. So enough talking already. Let us go and explore Achieve together. I'm really excited to show you how we use Achieve to connect with our students. Are there any questions as of yet, Leslie, that I can
do? Yeah.
Okay.
So we had someone ask if you assign the GSRs for points.
Yes, absolutely. I give the same amount of points as I give for completing learning curves or the chapter quizzes or the other assignments, critical thinking activities. I give the same amount of points and the students complete them. I know sometimes people have said, well, are they going to actually sit down and do these? They take about 10 to 15 minutes on average for my students, and they enjoy them. I'm going to show you some outcomes at the end, but I was shocked actually that students were going to do them, and there's trailing off at the end, but it's the same amount of trailing off as the other assignments. So the students find them valuable and they do them as long as I get points for them. And I started giving points. I've never tried not to. Great question. Any other questions, Leslie?
She did ask what percent of the total grade. So it sounds like these are equivalent to like a homework assignment or a quiz.
Yes, so they're equivalent to chapter quizzes or learning curves. And in my class, the all of Achieve together counts for just over 20% of the points in the class. So if they don't do them, that's dropping 2 grade levels, right? So they all do them. They find them valuable. They get that doing the learning curves help them on their exams, right? And I teach, I use Myers and DeWall Exploring Psychology, which I adore. And I don't teach the chapters in the order they come. I move learning and memory to the beginning, because I want students to learn those skill sets from the research and learning science early in the semester so they can apply them to all their classes. And so I absolutely, students do them. They're a big portion of the grade, and they help them, they understand that they help them do better on their exams.
That's awesome.
So it's a twofer.
And one other person, and maybe you answer this as you dive in, but how does their current grade impact their feedback on these surveys? Is that something we might get into as we look at it?
Yes, you'll see that very shortly, for sure. Great question. So let me go and show y'all. Sorry, just one second. Here we go. All right, so this is what Achieve looks like. A little sexier than other platforms, I think. I really like it. Up here at the top, if I clicked on this icon in the navigation bar, it would take me to all the classes that I have on Achieve. Under here is my course. That's the view you're seeing now. I really love that I can look and organize it by assignments, by the course content, as well as resource type. I use all three of those views at different times when I'm teaching. So you also will see the resources tab. I told you the resources tab has those fabulous filter options that can help you find content that you're looking for, the resource type, the recommended use. I love that. I use those all the time. The gradebook is a great functioning gradebook. I can't show it to you because it has a whole bunch of student data in there. So the reports is my favorite part about Achieve. And I was talking to you about the insight cards and the embedded statistician. You can now see that come into life here. So the first goal setting and reflection survey that you assign at the beginning of the semester is the intro survey. To me, it's my favorite because it helps me meet my students and get to know them and their needs and their concerns from the very beginning of the semester. So I'm going to review those with you now. So how confident are your students? So it shows you both this graphing, right? The median confidence, 3.5 out of 5. And I'd say that that's pretty typical for a semester. And then it also pulls some of the qualitative responses. I'm doubtful about my ability to do well because of my habits. I can be lazy at times. I'm sometimes easily distracted, and I have a huge tendency to procrastinate, right? Which is a great comment because I can address this as I'm teaching in class. In the intro first few weeks of class, talk about how that's common, people being concerned about procrastinating and being lazy, and how you can work against that, right? So we can talk about that as a class. Here's another student response. I think it could be possible to achieve my goal because I'm very good at managing my time when it comes to studying and doing schoolwork. So you can click view more and it'll take you to every student's ranking of their confidence as well as their qualitative responses. You'll notice right here, looking at this graph, that somebody ranked 1, not confident. And you can imagine as an instructor, I was like, I want to know that student. I want to figure out how can I support that student. So the amazing Madison Bell has given me permission to show you the answers to her questions. I think it's really important to know what the preloaded questions are in the surveys, but you can also add your own questions. And I'm looking forward to doing that next semester. I haven't done that as of yet, but you can also add your own questions to any of the goal setting or reflection surveys. So let's start by meeting Madison at the beginning of the introduction survey. So what are you hoping to learn in this class? Are there any skills you're hoping to walk away with? I'm hoping to learn what is needed to be learned for this course. I want to learn more about real world situations, and that's what I'm hoping to take away from this course. Anything beneficial to me as a person, mentally and physically, I hope to take out of this course. Well, that's great because I talk to my students about how I see as one of my main goals is to teach them how to use psychological science to improve their own lives as well as the world around them. And I use real world examples in every class. And so this really resonates with how my class is taught. Madison says she's hoping to achieve an A in the class, but she'd be okay with a B. She again said she's not confident that she's going to achieve her goal in the course. And when asked about what makes her confident or doubtful of her ability to do well in the course, Madison says, "What makes me doubtful on my ability to do well in this course is I feel lost at times. I understand the student to teacher ratio is extremely high, and I feel as if my professor for this course can't actually be an assist to each student because there are a lot of students. I have to adapt myself to this course. I feel like I can if I give myself time. Well, imagine Madison receiving an email from the instructor of a 200 to 400 person class saying, hey, I read your intro survey response, and I just wanted to check in with you because we have a teaching team of 25 people, and we work really hard to engage with you and help you feel supported. And I'm available during my office hours, before and after class for 30 minutes, and we are here to support you. Right. So this is a student who really needs that reassurance, and I'm able to give it to her because I read through this question response. The next question asks about, consider how many hours per week you plan to spend on this class. And she planned to spend 12 hours. And so I'm starting to think, wow, that's a lot of time. It's probably something I want to talk to her about. She's going to have other classes she needs to study for, and she needs to have some balance in her life. Now, these next set of questions are the learning strategy questions. So this says, how would you spend your time? Oh, how you spend your time can be as or more important as how much time you're spending. Next, we're going to take a look at 4 categories of learning strategies that come from the best practices and recent discoveries in learning science. As you read over the following options, take a minute to reflect on whether you've truly tried the strategy in your own life. Consider each one carefully before moving on. So there's 4 categories of learning strategies. The first one is category 1 is space it out. Learning happens over time, not all at once. And you can see that Madison is planning on using all of these strategies to space out her studying, right? So she's like, I'm so committed. I know to space things out. I'm going to do them all. Okay. Then you'll see challenging herself, category 2. We don't always know what we don't know. So choose at least one strategy that you'll use to help you challenge yourself. And so she's planning on creating flashcards, taking practice tests, attempting problems without looking at her notes, and shuffling the topics while she's studying. And those all sound like great strategies. The next one you'll see, category 3, is about getting outside help. We learn more from interacting with and getting help from others. And this is a really important concept. I teach my students from the very beginning of the class that you need to learn to reach out for what you need and advocate for yourself. It's one of life's most important skills. And so she was encouraged to select one strategy, that at least one that she could use to help get outside help. And again, she chose them all, right? So we're seeing a common theme here. Madison's planning on using all the strategies to do as well as she can in the class. Category 4, environment and mindset. She's planning on putting away her phone, getting enough sleep, doing some studying or practice in a similar environment that she's going to take the exam. And she's planning on breaking up her studying into achievable chunks. Okay. So now that we've gone through the learning strategies and what she's planning on doing, I'm noticing she's anxious, right? She's going to use all the strategies. I'm like, this is somebody I definitely want to have a conversation with, and that I could send an email to and invite to my office hours. She's a first-year student. Then it asks, what plan or intended career path are you considering after completing your program, transferring, or graduating? She said, my 2 majors are child life specialist, and child life specialists are educated and clinically trained in their developmental impact of illness and injury. Wow, she really does know what a child life specialist does, which is awesome. The role of the child life specialist is to help improve patient and family care. Her 2 majors are child life specialists and academic counseling. So when she comes to my office hours, I know I can talk and use examples about how the class relates to her career goal and her majors. And so this is great content that I can use when I meet with her. Why she's taking the class is because it's fulfilling a requirement for her degree, which is how most of the students are in my gen ed psychology class. If you've taken the class before, where did you take it? This is her first time. Now, this is one of the most important questions that are asked on the intro survey. Are there any obligations or obstacles that you may face that your instructor should know about, or that your instructor should be mindful of? So Madison says, I'm a family person. I'm someone my family depends on for various reasons. I do work. I'm employed. Please, all caps, if you see me down or not my best, just check on me from time to time. So this was really powerful for us as a teaching team and for me, because she really is asking for what she needs. And I have a teaching team of TAs and learning assistants, and we can check on her from time to time, as long as we know that that's what she needs. And if we hadn't read this response, we would never have known that. This Madison had a juxtaposition of being in a huge class, feeling like she wouldn't be known and worrying about how she was going to succeed in the class and having really low confidence in that. And then at the end of the survey, expressing this, please check on me if you see me down or not my best. And I think that's a really strong juxtaposition. And I just want to say this is one of the reasons why I think it's so important to read these comments. The last question is also similar across every student. This survey gave me an idea for at least one strategy to try. Strongly agree. All students learn something about learning strategies just by doing the survey. Okay, I'm going to go back. So we're going to leave Madison now. We'll come back to her later. And I'm going to come back to the index, I'm going to come back to the insight cards. So we talked about how confident are our students. What goals do my students have? Well, they're hoping for A's and B's. One would be okay with passing, and some are like, well, I'd be okay if I got a C. How much time are they planning to spend outside of class? It's a 9-hour class median, which is a little bit high for the students. And these 3 students up here, 19 hours, 21 hours on just my class, like I'm going to send an email to these folks. So this is a great actionable step that I can take based on the data. Here's the what challenges or obstacles do students have? This is, like I said, one of the most powerful questions in the intro survey, and reading through the responses has been really helpful. We read through every student's qualitative data on the front end of the intro survey. So we get the data from the intro survey, and I set up time for whoever wants to join on my teaching team to go through and process student information. And we have coffee together. We really enjoy the process of getting to know our students. The time that we put in the front end of the intro survey, helping to access and refer students to the campus resources that may meet their needs, or just to reach out to them to give them resources that we know can help them, helps us throughout the semester, because the time we spend catching them in our safety net at the beginning of the semester, we're not getting people having failed 2 exams, having, lost hope in the class throughout the rest of the semester. So it preloads our time and it catches them so that they can get the resources they need for student success. And I'll tell you, it has been so worth it. Every minute I spend on the intro survey is so worth it, because I'm not getting those cases at the end of the semester after it's too late for them in this class. So what challenges? This person said, the only thing I can think of is that sometimes I find myself not reaching out to others for help because I'm scared to fail or ask the wrong thing or person. I tend to let stressful things build up until I crash. In my classes in the past, I've always down to go to extra office hours. So this is another person we can reach out to, right? It says it's hard to reach out for help, and I can normalize help seeking in class, right? For the whole class, because this is just one person that said it. A lot of the students, of course, are feeling it. This is a University of Memphis cheerleader. So if she misses any days, it's likely because she got assigned something for cheer. I'm using female pronouns because I happen to know this is because I reached out to this person. I'm able to also say, hey, I'm going to the game. I know you'll do a great job. When I see them in homecoming parade, I can wave to them. So it's nice to get this information. What are students hoping to get out of class? So many of them, it's a gen ed requirement, like I said, but I love these responses on this question because it helps me tailor the content and the examples that I use in my class. So the top person said, I hope to learn about the human mind and what makes it work. I want to be a therapist. And I feel like this class is my first time to actually explore if that's what I actually want to do. And so I'm able to talk to them about graduate programs towards the end of class. If people are interested in psychology and being therapists, I'm able to tell this person, hey, you're going to have to wait till the end of class when we cover psych disorders and therapies, but you're really going to love that. And I'm going to give examples throughout the class based on how we use science to help people change their mood and change their thoughts and behaviors. This person said, I'm hoping to learn more about how the brain and body works, and I want to learn about habits like sleeping habits, study habits, etc. And I'm able to tell this student that they're going to read a journal article on sleep, and we're going to have them assess their sleeping habits. And so they're going to do that in this class. Also, that chapter 2 is all about the brain. And so we have a whole chapter just focused on brain. So they'll really look forward to that. So I love being able to tailor the content of my class to the students and letting them know that what they're interested in, they're going to learn in the class. Who are the students? 100% of them are in their first year. Again, this tells about majors students have and what they're planning on doing in graduation, which helps me be able to, if I invite them to office hours, to be able to apply what they're learning to their actual career goals, which is great. It's really valuable content. Now we get to the 4 learning strategies here. So how are students planning to space and pace their learning? Well, these students are going to start their assignments early. That's their plan, at least. So that's exciting. And they're planning on using reminders in our planners. One of the things that I notice often is that students aren't planning to practice or review concepts daily. So I'm able to talk about forgetting and the path of forgetting and how quickly it occurs and how they'd be much more efficient studiers if they reviewed that content after class, before the next class period. And so that's really exciting. And how are students planning to study and practice recall? They're planning on using or creating flashcards. That's what they did in high school. So they're planning on continuing that process. But I'm able to then teach them methods to make flashcards really effective for learning by putting examples, using self-reference, elaborative encoding. And so I'm able to do a little lesson knowing that they're going to be using flashcards. Then down here, only 2 people said they're planning on using concept maps. So every semester, this is the case. And so I teach students how to use concept maps in lecture. And then they send me emails. Oh my gosh, Dr. Mollie, I'm using concept mapping, not just in your class, but in my other classes as well. And it's really helping me. And so it's really nice to be able to teach them skill sets that will help them, not just on their exams in my class, but also in their other classes. So how are students planning to get help and collaborate? Well, they're planning on trying to find a partner to work with in the class and collaborating there. I always find it's really interesting. Every semester, my students say, I'm going to go to office hours. Then why am I so lonely? I'm like, where are you? You all planned to come here. Like, are you now afraid of me once you've met me? But I am able to also encourage them to come see me outside of my office. It can be intimidating, so they can come before class for 30 minutes or after class for 30 minutes, or I'll have lunch in the UC twice a week, our university center. They can come to me there or at a football game. So I try to be where they are so that they can come see me for office hours. How are students planning to optimize their environment and mindset? They've learned this really well through the pandemic. So they're trying to find distraction-free study environments, taking breaks, getting enough sleep. One of the things that they aren't doing very often is simulating the test experience. And so I'm able to talk to them about that and about my experience of simulating the test experience. One of the things in the learning strategies that helped prompt me was setting a goal or intention for each study or work session. This is always a great reminder for me because this is something that I fall out of habit of doing, and it really makes me more productive as well. So I love seeing this because I'm able to remind the students to set an intention or goal for themselves, but it also reminds me to do the same thing in my work. So that's the information from the intro survey. I'm going to switch to the checkpoint survey. And I want us to catch up with Madison for real quick. So this is after Madison's first exam. She's taken her first exam and she scored between a 90 and a 100, which was about what she expected. And she says she's currently on track for what she hopes to achieve in the class. When asked, what do you plan to do to either get back or stay on track, Madison says, to stay on track, I'm going to continue to block out distractions and focus on the course and content. She also said, at first, this course was very stressful because I thought that the teacher and student ratio was very high. So I feel I wouldn't have any help, but we have great teachers and TAs and LAs. Right? So she's been able to access us and she's really appreciated that. And we wouldn't have been able to do that as pointedly as an intervention without having read her responses to her intro survey. Then last, it says, what skills have you developed and what do you learn about yourself? And Madison says, I learned that I can do whatever I put my mind to. I can deal with any obstacles that come my way. Really inspiring and is doing great. I've kept in touch with her and she is on her way to be a child life specialist and do amazing things. So now I'm going to go look at those insight cards for the checkpoint survey 1. You can see here that students' confidence has risen almost a full half point, right? So that's great to see. Over here, it asks students, do you feel like you're progressing towards your goals? And if they're off track or on track? And so I can click on the view more and I can see all these 4 students who are off track and I can intervene. Actionable step. I can reach out to them, provide them support, meet with them and see what we can do to help them get back on track. It also has, we're coding this data about how students who are on track have gotten there and how students who plan to get back on track, what they're planning on doing. And we're creating an email that we can send out after the first exam based on students' responses to whether they feel on track or off track, which we're really excited about. How much time are students spending studying outside of class? It's nice to see that the class median went down about 2 hours. They're like, oh, actually not 9 hours, more like 7 hours. It's like, oh, good. I'm glad y'all are seeing that. What challenges are students facing the most? It's not surprising that course and content were the biggest challenge. Reading through responses, it wasn't the content. It was because their instructor had had a brain injury and had to leave the classroom. And so they were worried about that. They had developed a relationship with me and they didn't know what it was going to look like. So we were able to send emails to the class and provide a lot of support around reminding them all of the access and resources they had within the Achieve platform, as well as within the teaching team and my pre-recorded lectures. Thankful for the pandemic, actually, that I had those pre-recorded lectures available. How do students feel like they've grown? I've discovered that writing my own notes, rather than just using the notes provided, has helped me understand concepts better. Beautiful. I also learned that quiet places are when I retain the most information for this class. I've grown from the last survey by learning that what works for me and staying on top of my assignments, which means checking every day at some point to make sure I've completed what I need to do. Students on their exam met their expectations or did much better, higher than they expected. And when I look at the learning strategies, you're able to see how often students are using each one of the strategies on a scale from never, a 5-point, to always. You can see that they're really using the reminders and planners. They need to be reminded to summarize their notes and how helpful that is. They're really over here on this one on studying and practicing recall. They're attempting problems without their notes a lot, but they're, again, not using concept maps or trying to explain a topic to a friend. So you can teach them and remind them of the strategies based on what they're reporting using after that first test. They say that they're going to office hours, but it's the people who are going 3 or more times that actually are coming to office hours. So it's a few amount of people coming frequently. And we'd like to make sure that more people are taking advantage of that. And almost never are they going to the tutoring center or similar. Now there's online tutoring for free. So we tell them that they should take advantage of that. So you see, we're able to review which strategies they're using and remind them to keep using the ones that the class seems to be using that are working for them, and also suggesting the other ones. So I want to show you quickly what we do with our qualitative data, because I think it's really helpful as we're working on creating these emails based on it. So on that question, are there any obligations or obstacles that you may face that your instructor should know about or be mindful about? You can see our students are experiencing health crises. Every time a student said something, we would write it in our list, and then we would add additional students by just adding to the numbers here. So they really have a lot of health crises, mental health concerns, and disabilities that are coming up as obstacles. And we have a health center on campus, student health center, that's completely free. So we're able to send them the information about that. Also, information about disability resources for students, because some students don't know that they can apply for accommodations with American Disabilities Act. And we're able to tell them about those opportunities to get support. We also have athletes, people in ROTC, people who are working full-time and supporting parents who are ill. So we have lots of language barriers, so we're able to connect them with other people who are also English language learners who are on our teaching team to help provide them support. This last one here, too many to list. So this was a student who was already in crisis, and we were able to catch the student in crisis at the beginning of the semester and get them the support that they needed. And so we are really using these to develop emails that we can send out each semester based on students' responses to that qualitative data. The last thing that I want to do is I want to show you the students' feedback, because it is absolutely powerful. And so I am going to quickly pull that up for you.
And while Molly is doing that, we will answer. Some of you are sending in excellent questions, and we'll get to that in the Q&A, which will be in just a few moments.
Just a few minutes. All right, y'all. Having a little technical difficulty here, but it will be back in just a second.
One question you probably can answer quickly.
Okay.
Your course, is it face-to-face? Is it online, synchronous, asynchronous? What's the setup?
Yeah, so our class is in person. We also had this when we were synchronous online, and we also used the same process with the goal setting and reflection surveys. So we've done it both asynchronously online, remote, as well as in person. So obviously, you guys know I love Achieve. Let's look at this student data. So here's some student data from the fall 2021 psychology beta study. There were 503 psychology students who completed at least one goal setting and reflection survey. So students said, I improved as a student this semester. 80% strongly agreed. Goal setting and reflection surveys were valuable use of my time. Now, this shocked me. This is, remember, questions that are not on content to what they're expecting to learn in the class, but 2/3 of the students strongly agreed that the GSRs were valuable use of their time, which I thought was amazing. They helped me think about my goals, learning habits in and outside of class. 84% strongly agreed. And I learned something new about how I can manage my time studying and learning this semester, not just in this class, but all their classes. 84% strongly agreed. So students really like the goal setting and reflection surveys. Now, Macmillan's broader research on Achieve shows that in courses that have assigned 2 or more goal setting reflection surveys, typically an intro and at least one checkpoint survey, they saw a minimum 15% increase in students' assignment completion. That is huge, which resulted in at least an 8 percentile point increase in student grades in the course. Wow. So as a professor, I am judged on how my students perform. And so this 8 percentile point increase in student grades is really impressive to me and very valuable to me as an instructor. So I was really excited to see this research. This has been my experience as well using the GSRs. And I hope that you've learned a lot about them and that you now understand that they are priceless, absolutely priceless. I know this has been a whirlwind ride, and I'm guessing you have some other questions, so we'd love to hear them.
All right, I'm going to come off mute. I'm going to read you some of our great questions.
Great.
Okay, so someone asked that clearly you use this for a lot of instructor to student communication. Is there anything you could think of to use this as a peer-to-peer tool?
So yes. So in our emails, we are hoping for students who are looking for someone to work with. They say they want to work with another partner in the class or that they want to attend study groups. We're going to try to pull all of those people and send them an email and say, hey, y'all, this is something you want to all do. And so we want to try to help you connect. And here is the chat function in our learning management platform. And you can go there. We've got a little what do you call it, group that we've already assigned, and you can say your availability. We send out when to meets to help them figure that out with them and help them plan that. So that's one way that we've been able to help them peer-to-peer is by identifying folks who say that they want to collaborate with other folks or want to go to study groups.
I imagine that's especially powerful in light of the people who are like, oh, I really want help, but I'm scared to ask for it. That's super cool.
Yes.
Okay. One other person asked, do you encourage students to go for tutoring? After a first visit, they might get over thinking that they're not that smart if they go. If they go that first time, they're more likely to come back.
Yes. So we do something called 5-minute meetings. And students come for 5 minutes to review their topic for a behavior modification assignment that is an assignment in the class. But the TAs also pull up their intro survey and know who they are before they walk through the door. And we have found that to be really helpful in getting to support them and to keep them coming back and to help, that first walking through the door that can be so scary. And just for 5 minutes, they don't have to stay for long. But we find that once students start accessing us, they're more likely to come back. So when we started the 5-minute meetings, we weren't having very many people come to office hours, and now we have more. And so that's really helpful for us.
Excellent. One person says, do you have any advice for using this with large classes? They don't have as many TAs as you do. So would you have any suggestions for getting started in that instance?
Yes. So I think for me, the first semester I went through this just with one TA, and we went through all of the intro survey data, the qualitative data. I set aside 3 hours to do it and decided it was going to be something really exciting. So I was going to really enjoy meeting my class, and I was going to do this early intervention and take the time out early in the semester when actually I have a little bit more free time in that second week after the courses started to do this. And because I knew it would save me a ton on the back end. At least that was my thought process. And it actually did. And so I think just changing my mindset that, oh my gosh, I don't have 3 hours. I don't want to do this for 3 hours, to this is going to help the students early get the early intervention they need to help them before there's a crisis. And the time I put in now is saving me time later when I'm going to be even more busy.
And I'll just add to that. As Mollie mentioned earlier, just asking these questions and giving students access to those study skills, which all come from learning research, like that's where all of those suggestions are provided from. Just doing that is enough to help them. And if you wanted to kind of dip your toe in the water a little bit more, you're maybe not quite ready or can't do the 3 hours like Molly suggests. One thing you could do is just focus on the students who have indicated that they have a problem, like the students who have a really low confidence or people who feel like they're not on track for class or any kind of outliers. You could focus your attention on those.
Absolutely. Thanks, Leslie.
All right. One person asks, how do I get to use Achieve? So we will send information on this for you in our follow-up email. But basically, Achieve is our platform. It comes paired with our Macmillan textbooks as our online learning system. Or for certain courses, depending on what you teach, we'll have it as, we call it Achieve Essentials. And that's sort of a standalone where it isn't correlated to a specific book. It's just kind of the homework, but it wouldn't necessarily have the tie into an ebook. We will send you websites. You can sign up for demos, learn more about your specific course in the follow-up. All right, we've got time for a couple more questions if anybody has anything. All right. So then I will just do a little bit of wrap-up housekeeping. As I alluded, we will be sending a follow-up that'll include the recording. It will include Mollie's slides. If you need a certificate for professional development, you can get that from the email as well. And it will be my email. If you have questions, feel free to send them there. We'll always be happy to follow up with you. And you can also sign up for specialists who focus on your individual content area. So we have people who have PhDs in the subject matter who are happy to sit down with you, like talk through your syllabus and figure out how you can use these tools to best support your class. All right, well then, thank you so much for spending an hour of your day with us. We really appreciate it. We hope you got some useful ideas out of it. And yeah, we're really glad you're here. All right. I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
So nice to meet you all. Thank you so much for coming. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Bye, everyone.